Hello, my friend. Let me tell you a story about a man who was not born smart, but decided to become smart. His name was Daniel. When he was young, teachers did not call him talented. His classmates did not ask him for help. He was average in school, sometimes even below average. He forgot things. He was slow in exams. He spoke less because he was afraid to say something wrong. One day, something small but painful happened. During a class, the teacher asked a simple question. Daniel knew the answer. He was sure, but he stayed silent. Another student answered. The teacher smiled and said, "Very good." Smart thinking. That word stayed in Daniel's mind all day. Smart. On his way home, Daniel asked himself, "Why am I not smart? Is it because I was born this way? Or is it because I think like everyone else?" That night he could not sleep. He realized something important. The students who were called smart did not have magic brains. They just thought differently. They asked more questions. They observed more. They were not afraid to look stupid. The next day, Daniel made a quiet decision. He would change the way he thinks. Not for praise, not for grades, but for himself. He started with something simple. Instead of accepting information quickly, he asked, why? When he read a book, he did not just read the words. He stopped and thought about the meaning. When someone said an opinion, he did not agree immediately. He asked himself if it made sense. At first, this was difficult. His brain felt tired. Thinking deeply is like going to the gym. In the beginning, it hurts, but pain is a sign of growth. Daniel also learned to love mistakes. Before, he hated being wrong. Now, when he made a mistake, he said, "Good. Now I see what I did not understand." Every mistake became a lesson, not a shame. He stopped trying to impress people. Instead, he tried to improve himself. When friends talked only about gossip, he listened quietly, but did not waste his energy. He spent more time reading, writing, and reflected, not because it looked cool, but because it built his mind. One afternoon, his teacher gave a difficult problem. The class was silent. Daniel felt fear again, but this time, he raised his hand. His voice was not strong, but it was honest. He explained his idea step by step. It was not perfect, but it was thoughtful. The teacher looked at him differently, not with surprise, but with respect. That day, Daniel understood something powerful. Being smart is not about knowing everything. It is about thinking clearly. It is about asking better questions. It is about staying curious when others are bored. Months passed. Daniel did not become a genius overnight, but people noticed a change. He spoke with confidence. He listened carefully. He connected ideas. He stayed calm in problems. The biggest change was inside him. He no longer feared looking stupid. He feared staying the same. If you met Daniel years later, you would call him smart, but he would smile and say, "I just trained my mind." And that is the truth. Smart people are not special. They build habits that change their thinking. They choose growth over comfort. They choose curiosity over ego. They choose patience over quick answers. The question is not whether you are smart today. The real question is simple. Are you ready to think differently, starting now? He walked home that evening with a strange feeling in his chest. It was not fear. It was not excitement. It was something in between. For the first time, he understood that becoming smart was not about proving anything to anyone. It was about changing the way he lived every single day. The next morning, he woke up earlier than usual, not because he suddenly became a disciplined hero. His alarm rang, and his first instinct was still to close it and sleep again. But he remembered something. Smart people do not follow every feeling. They question it. He asked himself, if I sleep again, what will happen? The answer was simple. Nothing would change. So he got up. That small decision did not make him a genius. It did not transform his life in one day, but it gave him something more powerful. Control.at school. He began to notice something new. The students who always had the best answers were not always the most talented. They were the most curious. They asked questions. They listened carefully. They were not afraid to say, "I don't understand." He used to think that saying, "I don't know," was a weakness. Now, he realized it was strength. When you admit you don't know something, you open the door to learning. That day in class, when the teacher explained a difficult topic, he did not pretend to understand. He raised his hand and asked a simple question. Some students looked at him. He felt a little embarrassed, but the teacher smiled and explained again, more clearly. After class, 2 other students came to him and said, "I was confused too." He learned something important. Many people stay silent because they are afraid. Smart people speak because they want to grow. In the following weeks, he started reading every day. Not long books, not complicated books, just a few pages daily. At first, it felt boring. His mind wanted fast entertainment, short videos, quick pleasure, easy fun. But he forced himself to stay with the book for 10 minutes, then 15, then 20. Slowly, something changed. He began to think deeper. When he heard news, he did not accept it immediately. He asked, "Is this true? Who is saying this? Why are they saying it?" He understood that smart people do not believe everything. They analyze. One evening, his friend complained about another classmate. "He is stupid," his friend said. Before, he would have agreed. Now, he paused. He asked, "Maybe he just thinks differently." That was new. Instead of judging quickly, he tried to understand. He also started managing his time better. He realized something painful. He wasted many hours every day, not because he was busy, but because he was distracted. His phone was always in his hand. His attention was broken into small pieces. So he made a simple rule. When he studied, the phone stayed in another room. The first day was difficult. He kept thinking about notifications, messages, updates. But after some time, his mind became calm. He finished his work faster than before. And for the first time, he felt proud of himself for something small but real. He discovered another rule. Smart people choose their environment carefully. They spend time with people who challenge them, not people who only agree with them. When his friends talked only about gossip and drama, he listened less. When someone spoke about goals, ideas, or plans, he paid attention. He understood that your mind becomes like the conversations you hear every day. There were still hard days. Days when he felt tired. Days when he made mistakes. Days when he wanted to return to his old habits. But now, instead of saying, "I am not smart," he said, "I am learning." That sentence changed everything. He stopped comparing himself to others. He compared himself to yesterday. If he was slightly better than yesterday, that was enough. Little by little, teachers noticed. His answers became clearer. His writing became stronger. His confidence became quiet, but steady. He did not become the loudest person in the room. He became the calmest thinker. And he realized the biggest lesson so far. Intelligence is not something you are born with or without. It is something you build. One decision, one question, one habit at a time. The world around him did not change. He did. So now, he had control, little, not superhero level control, just enough to stop blaming the world for everything. But control brings responsibility, and responsibility is heavy, much heavier than excuses. In part 2, he learned to wake up, to ask questions, to read a little more, to think a little deeper. Now came the harder part, facing himself. One afternoon, he failed a small test. Not a big exam, just a normal class test. A few months ago, he would have said, "The teacher makes hard questions," or "The exam was unfair," or his favorite line, "I'm just not good at this subject." This time he went home, sat quietly, and looked at the paper again. He asked himself one uncomfortable question. Did I really prepare? The answer was obvious. No. He studied, yes, but not with focus, not with depth. He read the pages quickly just to say he studied. His body was there. His mind was everywhere else. That evening, he learned another rule. Being busy is not the same as being productive. You can sit with a book for 2 hours and learn nothing. You can study for 30 minutes with full attention and understand everything. So he changed his method. Instead of reading passively, he started writing notes. Instead of memorizing blindly, he tried to explain the topic in simple words, as if teaching a younger student. When he couldn't explain it clearly, he knew he didn't understand it yet. Smart people do not chase grades. They chase understanding, and understanding takes effort. At the same time, he began to observe something else. His thoughts were not always helpful. Sometimes, when he made a mistake, a voice inside his head would say, "You're not good enough," or "Other people are naturally smarter." That voice sounded logical, convincing, but he started questioning it too. Where is the proof? He asked himself. Was there real proof that he was not good enough? Or was it just an old habit of thinking? He realized something powerful. Most limitations exist first in the mind, and the mind believes whatever you repeat to it. If you repeat, "I can't," your brain stops trying. If you repeat, "I'll learn," your brain looks for solutions. So he became careful with his self-talk. Not fake, positive talk. Not pretending everything is perfect. Just honest and constructive thinking. Instead of, "I'm bad at math," he said, "I haven't practiced enough math yet." One small word changed the meaning completely. Yet, that word gave him time to grow. Weeks passed. His progress was slow, painfully slow. No dramatic movie transformation. No sudden genius moment. But something deeper was changing. His patience. He stopped expecting fast results. He understood that real improvement is boring. It is repetition, practice, correction, again and again. While others quit because they did not see quick success, he stayed. He also started protecting his energy. Before, he argued a lot about small things, about opinions, about who was right. Now, he asked himself, will this matter in 5 days, 5 months, 5 years? Most of the time, the answer was no. So he saved his energy for things that mattered. Learning, health, goals. He began exercising lightly in the mornings, not to build huge muscles, just to build discipline. When you control your body, your mind follows. Some days he failed. Some mornings he overslept. Some nights he wasted time. But instead of giving up, he returned to his routine the next day. That was new. Before, one bad day meant giving up completely. Now, one bad day was just one bad day. He understood something very important. Consistency is stronger than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. Slowly, people around him noticed a difference. He spoke less, but when he spoke, his words had weight. He listened more. He reacted less. When friends complained about life being unfair, he did not laugh at them. He understood. But he also knew that complaining changes nothing. Action does. He was not perfect. He was not always confident. Sometimes doubt still visited him late at night. But now, he had tools. He questioned his thoughts. He reviewed his habits. He focused on growth instead of image. And one quiet evening, while studying alone, he realized something strange. He no longer wanted to be the smartest person. He wanted to be the most disciplined learner. Because he finally understood a truth many people never accept. Talent gives you a small advantage, but habits build your future. And for the first time in his life, his future felt like something he could shape with his own hands. So now he had something more valuable than motivation. He had direction, and direction changes everything. Before this, he used to wake up and check his phone first. Messages, notifications, random videos. His mind would be full before the day even started. Now, he did something different. He woke up and sat quietly for 5 minutes. No music, no scrolling, just silence. At first, it felt uncomfortable. His thoughts were loud. Random memories, unfinished conversations, worries about the future. His brain acted like a noisy market. But instead of escaping, he stayed. He realized something simple but powerful. If you don't control your morning controls you. So he built a small routine. Nothing dramatic. Make the bed, drink water, move his body for a few minutes. Review his goals. Small actions, but repeated daily. People underestimate small actions because they look boring. Humans love big, dramatic changes. They want one decision that changes their entire life. That's cute. Real growth is quieter than that. One day, a friend laughed at him. "Why are you trying so hard?" His friend asked. "Life is short. Just relax." He didn't argue. He used to argue. Now, he just smiled. Because he understood something his friend didn't yet. Discipline is not punishment. It's freedom. When you control your habits, you control your future. When you don't, your impulses control you. He also started noticing how much comparison was hurting him. Social media made it worse. Everyone looked successful. Everyone seemed confident. Everyone had something he didn't. But he asked himself one question. Do I know their full story? Of course not. He only saw highlights, not their struggles, not their failures, not their fear. At the end, comparison is dangerous because it compares your behind the scenes with someone else's highlights. So he made a decision. Less scrolling, more building. Instead of watching others succeed, he worked on his own progress. He began tracking small wins, finished a chapter, completed a workout, learned a new word, saved some money. Small wins build confidence, not empty compliments, not fake praise, real effort. There were still difficult days, days when nothing worked, days when he felt tired for no clear reason, days when doubt whispered again, "You're wasting your time." But this time, he didn't panic. He understood that feelings are temporary. They feel permanent in the moment, but they pass. So instead of quitting, he rested, and then continued. That was the difference. Before, emotions controlled his actions. Now, his values controlled his actions. He also changed the way he spoke to people. Less complaining, less gossip, more meaningful conversations. When someone talked about ideas, growth, goals, he listened carefully. When someone only wanted to criticize others, he slowly created distance. Not because he thought he was better, but because he understood energy is limited, and environment shapes identity. If you spend time with people who think small, you start thinking small. If you surround yourself with people who challenge you, you grow. He started reading more too, not just for information, but for perspective. Books showed him that struggle is normal, that failure is common, that growth takes time. It comforted him in a strange way. He was not behind in life. He was just early in his journey. One evening, he looked back at who he was 6 months ago. Impulsive, easily distracted, always blaming something outside himself. Now, more aware, more responsible, not perfect, but intentional. And that word changed everything. Intentional. He no longer lived randomly. He chose his actions, even when it was hard. He finally understood a quiet truth. Your life improves the moment you stop waiting for inspiration and start building systems, not glamorous systems, simple ones. Sleep on time, study with focus, move daily, reflect weekly, adjust monthly. Simple, but powerful. And for the first time, he felt something deeper than excitement. He felt stability, and stability is rare in a world addicted to chaos. Stability did not make his life perfect. It made it stronger. There is a difference. Most people chase excitement, new goals, new plans, new promises every Monday. He used to live like that too. Big plans on Sunday night, zero action by Wednesday. Now, he cared less about excitement and more about consistency. He noticed something interesting. The brain loves comfort. It will always try to choose the easy option. Sleep more, scroll more, delay the hard task. It sounds harmless, but repeated daily, it slowly builds a weak identity. So he started training his mind like a muscle. When his alarm rang, he stood up immediately, not because he felt motivated, because he decided that his word matters. If he told himself he would wake up at 6, then 6 it was. That small act built self-trust. Self-trust is quiet power. When you trust yourself, you stop needing constant motivation from outside. You stop waiting for someone to push you. One afternoon, he faced a difficult test at work, a project he did not fully understand. Old version of him would avoid it, delay it, hope someone else solves it. This time, he sat down and broke the task into pieces. What do I know? What do I not know? Who can I ask? What is the first small step? Instead of feeling overwhelmed, he focused on one small action. That day, he learned something important. Overwhelm comes from looking at the whole mountain. Progress comes from looking at the next step. Smart people are not calm because life is easy for them. They are calm because they learned how to think under pressure. He practiced this daily. When problems came, he asked better questions instead of reacting emotionally. He also changed how he saw failure. Before, failure meant, I am not good enough. Now, failure meant, I tried something difficult. That small change removed fear. Fear grows in silence. When you avoid challenges, fear becomes bigger. When you face them, even if you fail, fear becomes smaller. One evening, he remembered a moment from his past. A time when someone told him he was not talented. That sentence lived in his mind for years. It shaped his confidence. It shaped his limits. But now, he looked at it differently. That person had limits, not him. People speak from their own fears, their own experiences, their own small thinking. When you accept their words as truth, you borrow their limits. He returned those limits. From that day, he chose growth over approval. He stopped trying to impress everyone. He focused on improving himself, quietly. He understood another rule of smart thinking. Protect your attention. Attention is currency. Whatever you focus on grows. If you focus on problems, stress grows. If you focus on solutions, confidence grows. If you focus on others' success, jealousy grows. If you focus on your progress, strength grows. So he became careful with his focus. He reduced noise, fewer useless debates, fewer negative conversations, less meaningless content. Instead, he spent time learning, building, reflecting. At first, people noticed the change. You've changed, they said. He smiled again. Yes, he had changed. Not in personality, not in kindness, but in standards. He raised his standards for how he thinks, how he works, how he spends time. And standards shape destiny. Every night before sleeping, he asked himself one simple question. Did I move forward today? Not, did I win? Not, did I succeed? Just, did I move forward? Sometimes the answer was small. Read 10 pages. Practice 30 minutes. Controlled anger once. But small forward steps, repeated daily, create massive distance over time. Months passed. His results slowly improved. Not dramatically, but clearly. More confidence, better decisions, stronger discipline. And the most powerful change was invisible. His mind was no longer his enemy. It became his partner. And when your mind works with you instead of against you, the world feels less chaotic. Not easier, just clearer. And clarity is the beginning of real intelligence. Clarity changed the way he moved through the world. Before, he reacted to everything. A bad comment could ruin his mood. A small problem could destroy his focus. One mistake could make him question his entire future. His emotions controlled his direction. Now, he paused. That pause became his secret weapon. When something went wrong, he did not immediately judge it as a disaster. He asked himself, will this matter in 5 years? Most of the time, the honest answer was no. That question saved him from wasting energy. Energy is limited. Most people spend it on things that do not deserve it. Arguments that solve nothing. Opinions from people who do not build anything. Worries about situations that may never happen. He started protecting his energy the way a smart investor protects money. He also learned to separate feelings from facts. For example, if he failed at something, the feeling said, you are not good enough. But the facts said, you need more practice. Feelings are loud, facts are quiet. If you do not train your mind, you will always follow the loud voice. So he trained himself to ask, what are the facts? When he felt behind in life, the feeling said, everyone is ahead of you. The fact said, you are comparing your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 10. Comparison had been a silent poison in his life. Social media made it worse. Perfect pictures, fast success, big achievements. It all looked easy from the outside, but he realized something important. You only see the results, not the struggle. You see the victory, not the sacrifice. You see the highlight, not the hard nights. Once he understood this, comparison lost its power. He replaced comparison with curiosity. Instead of thinking, "Why am I not like them?" he asked, "What can I learn from them?" That shift turned jealousy into growth. Another big change happened in how he spoke to himself. He used to use harsh words. "You are lazy. You always fail. You never finish anything." Those sentences felt normal to him. He thought they made him stronger. They did not. They made him weaker. Imagine having a coach who insults you every day. Would you feel confident? Would you feel powerful? No. So he became a better coach to himself. When he made a mistake, he said, "Okay, what can we improve?" Not, "You are useless." He kept responsibility, but removed shame. Responsibility says, "This is my fault, and I can fix it." Shame says, "This is my fault because I am bad." Only one of those builds strength. As weeks turned into months, he noticed something else. Discipline was no longer painful. It became normal. He did not fight himself every morning. He did not argue with himself before working. The actions that once felt hard now felt natural. That is the power of repetition. At first, discipline feels heavy. Then it feels manageable. Finally, it feels automatic. Most people quit in the first stage because they think it will always feel hard. They do not stay long enough to see it become easy. He stayed. He also understood that growth is not a straight line. Some days were strong. Some days were weak. Sometimes he felt motivated. Sometimes he felt tired. But he stopped expecting perfection. Perfection is an illusion that stops progress. Consistency is imperfect action repeated daily. On difficult days, he lowered the pressure but not the standard. If he could not train for 1 hour, he trained for 20 minutes. If he could not read 30 pages, he read 5. He refused to break the chain completely. That mindset protected his progress. One night, while sitting alone, he thought about the old version of himself. The confused one, the waiting one, the one who believed change needed a big moment. He felt grateful, not because life was perfect now, but because he no longer felt powerless. Power does not mean control over everything. It means control over yourself. He could not control the economy. He could not control other people's opinions. He could not control unexpected problems. But he could control his habits, his focus, his reaction, and that was enough. Real intelligence is not about knowing everything. It is about managing yourself wisely. That was the lesson he was living every single day. And slowly, without noise, without drama, his life kept moving forward. He used to believe that confidence comes first. He thought confident people wake up strong, speak without fear, and take action without doubt. He watched others and imagined they were different from him. Braver, smarter, naturally stronger. But the truth was much simpler. Confidence did not come before action. It came after it. He understood this the hard way. There was a time when he avoided opportunities because he did not feel ready. He did not apply for better work because he thought he was not good enough. He did not share his ideas because he feared judgment. He waited to feel confident. He waited for a feeling that never arrived. One day, he asked himself something uncomfortable. What if confidence is not a feeling you wait for, but a result you earn? That idea changed everything. The next time he felt afraid to do something important, he did it anyway. His hands were not steady. His voice was not perfect. His heart was beating fast. But he did it, and nothing terrible happened. In fact, something powerful happened. He survived. That small experience gave him a tiny piece of evidence. Evidence that fear does not mean stop. It only means grow. He started collecting these small pieces of evidence. Every time he did something difficult, even if it was not perfect, he proved to himself that he was capable. Confidence is built from proof. You do not build it by thinking positive thoughts all day. You build it by doing hard things and realizing you can handle them. He also realized that most people are too busy thinking about themselves to judge you as much as you imagine. When he made small mistakes in public, he noticed something surprising. People forgot quickly. Some did not even notice. The fear was always bigger in his mind than in reality. So he trained himself to act before he felt ready. When he wanted to speak, he spoke. When he wanted to try, he tried. When he wanted to improve, he started. He stopped asking, "Am I confident enough?" and started asking, "Am I willing to grow?" Growth became more important than comfort. There were still moments of doubt. He was not a machine. Some days he questioned his path. Some days he felt behind. But instead of stopping, he reduced the size of the step and kept moving. Forward movement, even small, keeps the mind strong. He also learned that fear and excitement feel similar in the body. Fast heartbeat, strong energy, sharp focus. The difference is the meaning you give to it. Before, he labeled that feeling as danger. Now, he labeled it as opportunity. This shift gave him control. He understood that courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in the presence of fear. And courage repeated daily becomes confidence. Slowly, people around him began to notice the change. They called him confident. They called him disciplined. They called him focused. They did not see the quiet battles inside, the moments of hesitation, the internal conversations, the effort it took to move forward when comfort was calling him back. But he knew, and that knowledge made him stronger. He stopped looking for approval as proof of his value. Approval is unstable. It depends on other people's moods, opinions, and expectations. Instead, he looked for self-respect. Self-respect grows when you keep promises to yourself. Every time he said, "I will wake up early," and he did, self-respect grew. Every time he said, "I will finish this task," and he finished it, self-respect grew. Confidence built on self-respect is solid. It does not break easily. He was not perfect. He still made mistakes. He still failed sometimes. But failure no longer destroyed him. Failure became feedback. Feedback is useful. It teaches. It guides. It improves you. And this was the biggest lesson he had learned so far. You do not become strong by waiting for the right mood. You become strong by acting in the wrong mood. That is where real transformation begins. You might think that after all these changes, life suddenly became easy for him. It did not. Challenges did not disappear. Problems did not respect his new mindset. There were still days when he felt tired, days when plans failed, days when nothing seemed to move forward. But something inside him was different. Before, one bad day could destroy his whole week. One mistake could convince him that he was not good enough. Now, he understood something important. A bad day is just a day. It is not a life sentence. He stopped turning small problems into big stories. If he failed, he corrected. If he felt tired, he rested. If he felt lost, he paused and thought. He no longer attacked himself with negative words. He spoke to himself the way a good mentor would speak: calm, honest, direct. This simple change saved his energy. Energy is not only physical. Mental energy matters more. When you stop fighting yourself, you have more strength to face the world. He also learned the value of patience. In the beginning, he wanted fast results. He wanted proof that his effort was working. But growth does not always show quickly. Sometimes progress is invisible. A seed under the soil looks like nothing is happening. But inside, roots are forming. He trusted the process. Day by day, his habits became part of his identity. He was no longer someone trying to be disciplined. He was a disciplined person. He was no longer someone trying to be brave. He was someone who acts despite fear. Identity is powerful. When you change how you see yourself, your behavior follows naturally. He stopped saying, "I am trying." He started saying, "I am becoming." That difference changed his direction. There were still voices in his head sometimes. Old doubts, old fears. But now he recognized them. He did not obey them. Thoughts are not commands. They are just suggestions. You choose which ones to follow. This awareness gave him freedom. Freedom from excuses. Freedom from comparison. Freedom from waiting. He understood that comparing himself to others had stolen years of peace. Everyone has a different starting point, a different struggle, different path. When he focused on improving only 1% each day, something amazing happened. 1% sounds small, but repeated daily, it becomes powerful. Small improvements create big change. He did not chase perfection anymore. Perfection creates pressure. Pressure creates fear. Fear creates delay. Instead, he chased consistency. Consistency is calm. Consistency is quiet. Consistency wins. Months passed. If you looked at his life from the outside, it did not seem dramatic. No sudden fame, no overnight success, no magical transformation, but inside, everything had changed. He trusted himself. That trust was the real reward. Because when you trust yourself, you stop depending on luck. You stop waiting for rescue. You stop hoping someone else will fix your situation. You take responsibility. Responsibility is heavy at first, but later it becomes strength. He understood that his life would always have problems. That is normal. Every human life has struggle. The difference is not the absence of difficulty. The difference is your response to it. He chose growth over comfort. He chose action over fear. He chose discipline over excuses. And slowly, step by step, his life reflected those choices. This is not a story about becoming perfect. It is a story about becoming aware. Aware of your habits. Aware of your thoughts, aware of your excuses. When awareness comes, change becomes possible. If there is one lesson in his journey, it is this. Do not wait to feel ready. Do not wait to feel confident. Do not wait for the perfect time. Start small. Stay consistent. Trust the process. Your future is not built in one dramatic moment. It is built in ordinary days, repeated with intention. The power you are searching for is not outside you. It is in your daily choices. And when you finally understand that, everything begins to shift. And now, before you leave, remember this. The person you want to become is not waiting somewhere in the future. That person is built by what you choose to do today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today, every small action matters. Every disciplined moment matters. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you are rewriting your story. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to be fearless. You only need to move forward, one step, one habit, one decision at a time. If this story spoke to you, do not just listen to it. Live it. Practice the words. Practice the mindset. Practice the discipline. Because English is not just a language. Growth is not just a dream. They are skills. And skills are built with repetition. Keep learning. Keep improving. Keep believing in the quiet power inside you. Your journey is just beginning. See you in the next lesson.